All kids seem to be able to give art a go and keep their expression pretty free. This spontaneity, if it was carried over into their adult life, why, we'd be up to our temples in art. But no sooner do kids show this freedom than along comes their growing intellect and puts a crimp into it. It seems to be a question of the old, early evolutionary or primitive part of the brain being helped, not hindered, by the new, more recent part. Here's people who look like posts, according to the kid's primitive brain. And here's a mature, primitive artist who makes posts to represent the spirits of people. Some artists manage to retain the power to express the primitive side of their brain. Dubuffet and Miro. Miro could outline fantastic myths in art temples, kids' art temples, where they would learn the myth language. In his 80s, Miro says, "More and more I abandon myself to an inner power, stronger than myself, that pushes me forward. My signs are closer and closer to music." There are many instances in art where the young, fiercely intellectual art student, with his very tight draftsmanship, in old age gives way to the freedom of the old brain that he once had when he was a child, a toddler. J.M.W. Turner, when young, and when pretty serene in his old age. Monet, young, old. Picasso, young, old. Supposedly his last painting. Here is a doodle, a carefully done marine doodle by a young artist. And here he is letting his old brain, his unconscious, speak. And I'll give you another example of that, because it is not a usually contrasted thing, doodling. And back we are to the old master. How happy can you be, Chagall? He says, "I sometimes finished a picture and said, now it is finished, but now that I am old, I am never finished. Now that I am old, I don't know anything." Same goes for me. And here's that great old master, Matisse. And he says, "Guard your naivety. It'll be all you've got someday." And here is a young mathematician. He says, "It's like a separate world, mathematics, and whenever you solve a problem, it's like a new discovery. It's not like science, it's more like art," and so on. Math and music can each work out similar niceties in finalizing their compositions, but we're not all capable of developing our new brain's intellect to solve mathematical problems. Far from it. But all kids all over the world can get into art. And we can all stay with its feelings simply by developing our old brain of the senses. And that's the job. Although both the old and the new part of our brain need exercise and training, the new brain remains the intellect, and the old brain remains the emotional seat of the senses. And it's that old emotional side of the brain we want to develop. This and the next few drawings are by the same budding artist, Liz Bamberg, Although her old brain eventually gives way to the new, as it must with us all, yet she retains her inventiveness, and it's signified here by that floating debris by the figure's head. I think that's where the tyro artist is trying out her medium, getting its feel, as it were, before embarking on her serious effort, which ended up with this figure. Here she is again with this paper napkin, finding out that something happens when it takes over the ink and absorbs the ink. Got a kind of a soft cotton woolly feeling to it. Another way of trying out mediums. And in this case, something like osmosis. Her old brain is messing around. Then she's quite inventive here with her drawing. She makes a double line, and I suppose she had in mind to fill it in with colour. Maybe influenced by some fill-in colour things from kids' books. Well, here's another one, a great big smile, that's what it is. And more firmly conceived. And up top she writes, smile. Okay. Well, I wrote and asked her once whether the crosses on her letters were crosses or kisses. She writes back and says, no, all those T's on my paper are T's. Well, here is the self-same girl, Liz Bamberg, very sophisticated, red sweater and all, fashion conscious. And here's another artist, another sophisticated artist. This one is kind of folksy. It's a folksy wagon. And it's a car wash charity thing, looking for funds, but doing the words up in woolen socks. Are they stockings or, well, it's very decorative, very homey. The old brain we've all got lurking in the back of our skull. We're a little cross-eyed here, and we seem to have a lot of pins in our mouth. But it's the real stuff. Here's some more of the real stuff. I like the way the blue pigment is slushed about. And as for that kind of outcropping thing, with layers of red clay and ochre, and black dirt, and green, I don't know what, grass and whatnot, and black speckles. Maybe the speckles remind me of trace elements, like minerals that we have in our makeup. Iron, zinc, magnesium. Well, here's some more. These are upright strata, and they too have got those speckles. Look at that green pigment. Well, it reminds me of something I did when I was about 36. These are definitely upright strata. Some cliff or other, lots of water and watersheds and layers of rock and earth. You just feel it has something to do with the natural elements. Well, here's something got plenty of feeling to get if you got hands like that. You could do pretty well as a catcher. Couldn't miss. And here is the high sign, the high-handed fella. And why? I did the same thing myself in a doodle. See this doodle? Well, I painted that doodle about 30 years ago. Well, I was told it wasn't a prong, it was not a flower, but it was a brain cell. And when I questioned it, I was shown this. And this is the model of a frog's brain cell. Oh, really? Hi, new brain. Hi, old brain. How's life? Great. Let's make it together.